And what I'm talking about is ancient supreme teachings about self-realization. I can now come here and teach them through metaphysics, because the base education of humanity is higher.
So RJ, I think we should talk a little bit about where our attention should be placed. Obviously, going within. Can you give us maybe an example? Or
I want to let you know that I'm going to be teaching a brand new live course coming up very soon, Master the Mystic Arts. I'm going to be sharing the secret protocols and exercises I used with myself to fully unlock my higher intuitive functionality. It is by application only. So sign up on the link below and you'll be notified. Okay, so it's really about what it is that we're trying to achieve. There's what works and what doesn't work in terms of what we're trying to achieve. And so what we just stated before, right? If we want to live in a world and therefore create a world that is filled with more wisdom and love and compassion and power, we have to cultivate that within ourselves first. You can't do that by putting your attention on something outside of yourself. There is nothing actually outside of the self. So by reaching out is a state of disempowerment. And by doing that, we are aligning ourselves with what is not true to us. And this is how dystopian timelines or realities are created that are not desirable, because we're not operating from within and out. We're going from out and in a reactionary, passive, love, light, and namaste, and it's all good. The spiritual bypassing that is so absolutely prevalent on this planet by design, because it keeps you in a reactionary, passive, disempowered state, ready to accept chaos, madness, destruction, the end times, ready to accept it. Predictive programming, keeping you in a passive and disempowered state rather than the creator state. And this goes all the way back to the story of Cain and Abel. I'm not going to get into it, right? It goes all the way back to that. That's what that is really about. It's either about residing and living as the lower frequency or the conditioned mind, or residing and living and creating from the higher mind. That's what that story is really about. And this is the crossroads that we are at, that humanity is actually at. And this is why I've been teaching these things and embodying these things literally forever, but why I'm doing it much more now, because this really is a critical juncture. And the key, Justin, it's so simple: to bring yourself to the present moment. Use any one of my instantaneous meditation magic tricks. One of the more popular ones is to pretend that you just arrived here. No past, no future. Now, from that, live and create, not a past or future. Married to the present moment, to the I am presence, and then let that unfold. Because when you pretend that you just arrived here, no past, no future, the conditioned mind is turned off. The energy is returning to its source point within you. Now, this is how to proceed. Now it's not thinking outside the box. You just realized there is no box. And now you realize that you are an immortal creator. And it's from here that we will create the enlightened society. And only from this state of being, of full presence, not from consuming kernels of truth wrapped around misinformation, disinformation, outright lies, and other agendas. Agendas of religious figures, agendas of politicians, agendas of ETs. This is one of the most important messages that humanity is going to hear. And if it resonates, work in this way.
Absolutely. Now, RJ, if we do ever consume anything, how can we discern whether or not the information that we're consuming is, one way or the other?
Yeah. So if you don't feel lighter and freer and more empowered, it's not the truth. That's how you know. And the key is, it's not to figure out, can I trust him? Can I trust her? Can I trust them? Forget that. That's operating outside. Learn to be present and to trust yourself. And then you'll know what to do, what not to do, when to do it, who to talk to, who not to talk to, and how to say it. By trusting yourself. This is the key, the self, the I am. Not, can I trust him, her, this, that. Those are narratives. Those are programs. which collapses consciousness and constricts energy. And then we emanate and create from a limitation program of collapsed consciousness, of constricted energy. And what we're talking about is the exact opposite.
Absolutely. Okay, beautiful. Now, RJ, for anybody who like it's not as cut and dry, can you give us an example of seeking out versus going within, just so everybody can kind of know?
Yeah. Okay. So if the idea is to connect with something or someone, right? So I'm going to try to talk to my guides and helpers, my angels, extraterrestrials, whatever it is, right? There is nothing outside of the self. Reaching outside the self by its very nature is disempowering because it's false, because the self is whole and complete. So by reaching out, we're going in the wrong direction. So by going within, by being present, and then allow that infinite spaciousness, that inner silence. And by the way, if you sit in that long enough, you'll actually hear the polyphonic symphony of existence itself. But by sitting within that infinite spaciousness and that silence, the expansiveness of who and what we really are, you'll realize that you don't lack anything, that you don't need to reach out for anything. And it's simple practice because we are so used to, because the five senses are outwardly focused, we are so conditioned to continually reach out. And this makes us susceptible to whatever it is that we encounter. We can be easily abused and misused by energies that we don't really understand, that we can't really see, that have their very own agenda. This is actually what we're talking about right now. This is actually the shift. This is the most critical time of what's going on right now, is to go from consumer to creator. And you will feel lighter, freer, and more empowered. And if it's wrapped or couched in spiritual fear porn and chaos and madness, that is exactly how that agenda wants you to feel. They want you passive, love, light, and namaste. It's all good. And to simply accept that. And they couch it. There's little kernels of truth in there. But if it's not empowering, doesn't make you feel freer and lighter, then it's not the truth. Then it's not for you. So consumer to creator, feeling lighter, freer, more empowered, more clear, mentally and emotionally, not more confused or filled with anxiety and having to reach out. If there was anything nourishing about any of these continuous messages wrapped in spiritual fear porn, we wouldn't have to keep watching it. If it was truly nourishing, we would see it, connect, and we would be good. There's nothing nourishing about it, which is why it's next one, next one, next one, next one. This is a consumer. This is what a consumer does. And we do it because it's become addictive and because we're not getting any real nourishment out of it.
RJ, how can we go within more often? Is it possible to live from within then?
Yeah, it's simply about, okay, we can phrase it this way, Justin. So when I say acceptance in this way, because it's really about allowance rather than acceptance. Acceptance is a spiritual buzzword, but in this sense, if we can accept, and in this sense, when I say accept, I mean love ourselves. If we can love ourselves completely, warts and all, we will effortlessly be present. It won't even require any kind of training or meditation magic tricks or studying with the master. It's not required. It certainly helps. But if we can learn to love ourselves completely, then we will effortlessly be present. And we are that love and wisdom, which is why it doesn't require any effort. And when we do that, the reaching out for guidance, for help, for information, for this, that will just stop. It will completely stop. So that's the easiest way to do it, to accept, to love. Love yourself with wild abandon, with no limitation. And you'll actually start to see that reflected in the so-called outer world as well.
That's really beautiful, RJ. Is that why we like seek things outside of ourselves, because we don't love ourselves?
Yeah, so the desire that we have for a thing or someone else is the desire that we have to know ourselves fully. And so that's really what that's about. Those are permission slips. Like, let's say with a relationship, the desire that we have for someone else is the desire for us to know ourselves. The relationship is a permission slip for us to tangibly experience more of the I am. And when we really start to understand that, well, the knee-jerk habituation of reaching out for completeness will stop, because we'll realize the I am is whole and complete. And we're just picking, we're picking things that are just insufficient, and they're projections. They're not the I am directly. And that's why they're not really nourishing. They're just poor substitute gratifications for our ability to just be completely present. Let the mind calm down. Let the emotions stop. The real you is online. The beingness is now online. And just allow the beingness into the doingness. The beingness into the doingness. And what I'm talking about is ancient supreme teachings about self-realization. I can now come here and teach them through metaphysics, because the base education of humanity is higher. So we can talk about it in this way, and about energies and frequencies and dimensions and sentience and things like that. But the premise, the understanding, the foundation is ancient, absolutely ancient. But now we can do it instantaneously, because we're ready and because it's time. If you are unaware, I lead a global meditation where all of us come together with a single pointedness of focus by harnessing our attention and intention, which is a massive amplification of our energy, which yields greater efficacy in terms of what it is that we desire to manifest. If you want to help change the world, literally, sign up on the link below, because we're going to be doing another one very soon.